The fascinating thing here is that we are going to really make sure we have a good handle and understanding of the Qal Perfect strong verb, and then we'll just talk about what changes. Because a lot remains the same, and that makes life so much simpler. But the changes can become or look overwhelming from time to time. And I want to talk a little bit about the weak verb. And you remember we talked about weak verbs that are verbs that have guttural consonants or have they're biconsonantal or geminate or first yod or first noon, a third hey, third olive. These kind of things. So first guttural, second guttural positions. So those guttural positions under those weak verbs will change its form and change its spelling and its vowel structure often, and it can feel overwhelming. In Hebrew, the Qal Perfect, remember, it describes that completed action, something that's accomplished, something that's settled or finished. But when that verb goes weak, it contains a guttural or some a first yod or first olive or first noon or third olive or something of this nature. That letters can drop out, vowels can kind of move around or change. Rules seem to bend; they're really not. And the verb kind of may look fragile or maybe even unstable, and so it can make you feel a little bit like I can't recognize this, but you can. Here's the significant thing: the meaning of the verb did not change. The weakness in form never compromises the certainty in action. So, although its form may appear weak and fragile and changing, the meaning, the certainty, the completeness, the perfective action is still there. When the psalmist wrote in Psalm 132, verse 13, for the Lord has chosen Zion, that's the word bahar, chosen. He has chosen, is a Qal Perfect. When he has chosen Zion, he has desired it for his dwelling place. Bahar is, he has chosen a Qal Perfect form in the weak verb. The second root position is a guttural. The word itself conveys a divine completed action that he chose, and the choosing is done. It's certain, it's enduring. And so the Lord has chosen to the word itself may look irregular, but the truth is still absolute. What looks irregular still functions perfectly. What loses its letter still speaks a complete word. What cannot hold a doggish lene, or doggish forte, because it's a guttural, still carries divine strength. In other words, the weakness does not cancel out its completeness. God accomplishes his perfect work through imperfect instruments. So think of it this way: we are his imperfect instruments. Just as a verb might, the third hey might drop out, or the third olive is quiescent, doesn't have a sound, and that changes the vowel structure. Just as these things are weak or missing or changing, God still fully expresses his finished action, his completed action, and he fulfills his promises through fragile people like you and I, through broken vessels like you and I. What does he say to Paul in 2 Corinthians 12, verse 9? My grace is sufficient in you, for my power is made what? Perfect in weakness. When we read about the psalmist writing about the Lord has chosen Zion in Psalm 132, verse 13, the Bahar, and he has desired it for all his dwelling place. It's in the perfect tense or perfect stem, excuse me, for perfect conjugation in the Qal stem. And God has chosen, and nothing weak, nothing missing, nothing irregular, nothing will undo that choosing. The same is true for every believer. God's choice, God's salvation, God's promise, all are perfected actions spoken in his eternal grammar. So when you feel like a weak verb, that's my point here, okay? Sometimes we're the weak verb. We're the irregular verb. We're the incomplete verb. We're unable to hold everything together because we're just not structured in that way. And so when things happen, our form may alter, or the weakness may alter our form, but it cannot cancel our function, and it never changes the finished work that God does in you. He uses weakness in us to show his strength and perfection. in his word. And because in his language, what is weak is still perfect, the Lord has chosen Zion, and in him the weak have become perfect, perfectly complete. And so when I think about these weak verbs, they may be weak in form, but their function hasn't changed. They're still in the Qal Perfect. They're still perfective in the conjugation. So they're still completed. They're still whole. And I think that's important to think about when we think about um, this chapter 14, the Qal Perfect weak verbs. And I sort of equate it to us. We're the weak verb, and ultimately we're the one that may feel insecure or feel inept, but ultimately we're perfected in Him. And so that's how I think of the Qal Perfect weak verbs.